For me, I think, as someone who's still in school, I think something that would be really good, ideally, is if we could have a Wear It Purple Day in every single school, really, just or something like that. I mean, it doesn't have to be right? But if for one day a year, every single student in Australia or in New South Wales or wherever in the world wore purple to show their support, so people knew that people aren't just wearing purple for the sake of wearing purple, that they're wearing purple because they support a cause and because they support these people. And I think just that alone may not encourage people to come out, but at least it encourages people to, it sort of allows them to think that, to know that, that they're not alone, at least in terms of support. I mean, they may be the only, they may think that they're the only sort of gay person in a room, or the only queer person in a room, but in fact, even if they are, everyone supports them for it. And if we did have a Wear Purple Day everywhere around the world, not everyone would wear purple, of course, but I think we would be surprised by how many people would. And that's what it is. It's about, like, people sort of say to themselves, yeah, sure, I support the community, but they don't do anything about it. And that's what's so great about something like Wear It Purple Day, because kids love mufti days, for one. Especially if it's like an all-girls Catholic school or an always boarding school. You know, they don't get the opportunity to wear what they want. And then they do. And they'll take it, sure. And they'll actually be able to express it sort of by what they're wearing.
Yeah, just so like on that, clearly it's ideal to have all schools participating. You know, the ideal would be that it's just a mandate, everyone has to do it, and it's just something that they do. The slightly more realistic thing in the potentially not so near future, but hopefully not too distant future, is to have department support. The Department of Education has been supportive of Wear It Purple in the past, so that's great news. Adrian Piccoli is supportive as well. Off the record, he probably doesn't need to do too much to be supportive, so that's okay for him, but it's great for us that he at least is able to acknowledge that support. So hopefully as that continues to go along, mainly just exposure as well, so two sides. New South Wales Teachers Federation is incredible for us. They advertise endlessly year in and year out, and that's how we continue to grow in numbers. And social media is a really, really big thing for us. So if you guys have been on our Facebook lately, we've got nearly 11,000 likes, which is very exciting. But that's a really big way that we reach students, and a lot of times students hear through that grapevine.
Totally, and I think, I guess my answer is kind of twofold. So like, I agreed with both of these guys about, you know, getting it into as many schools as possible. But I guess on top of that, you know, making what we do as accessible as possible to young people. So, you know, it's going to be an uphill battle to get into, you know, religious schools or to get into schools that are more adverse to it. But, you know, I think by nature of what we do as a bottom-up organisation, and, you know, encouraging young people to come and work with us and to take control of their own environments and to be proud of who they are, I think also by doing that, that's how we access those kids.
Can you also say something about the hubs last year, actually?
Yeah.
Because you organised those.
I did. So last year we tried to access as many young people on Wear It Purple Day as possible, and so to achieve that, what we did was we created hubs all around Australia with wristbands, and so they were safe locations where young people could go and pick up Wear It Purple wristbands and feel like they had become a part of the cause and what we were doing, and that they could, you know, share that with their friends or you know, visually show something in their environment to say that, you know, I'm taking a stand against, you know, poor environments and this pathology.
Which is awesome, because we're not funded, so it came out of Wear It Purple's bank account to buy, what was it, 20,000 wristbands that we sent all around Australia on our own back, and they were provided free to young people in schools and all around in rural communities so that they could pick it up, which also meant that youth services that were providing those wristbands that we partnered with actually had these kids coming to them and picking those up, and they actually got to engage with those services. So we've heard some really good things about that initiative, which is cool.
Last thing from me, probably, you need crazy pioneer kids with good role models. Like, that's, for me, that was the greatest thing, having role models that I could look up to and know that they would support me through whatever I said and whatever I did. And that's what I think is really necessary to get into the Christian tight-knit communities. You need one kid with a bold idea, because Wear It Purple, as awesome as it is, will struggle to get into Christian schools because of that tightness that Christians hold sometimes. So you need the one crazy kid with a bold idea to stand up for it.
Having said that, we did have a couple of Catholic schools on board last year, and we did have a Uniting Church school as well on board last year, so it's kind of stepping up.